All right, hello. Welcome to the stream. It's been a while, but we're getting back into it. Hello, Light Comic. Hello, Adritech, or Adritech. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, today we're going to be working on some Gunforged content. If you saw my latest devlog, you will know that I am working on overhauls of some bigger systems. But in the meantime, I figured while I'm trying to figure that out, there's nothing stopping me from making more content in the meanwhile. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. And for those that are watching, or that will watch, that don't know about Gunforged, Gunforged is a 2D roguelite shooter, kind of in the vein of Vampire Survivors and Brotato, where you kill a bunch of enemies and build your own weapons, combining different permanent passives as well as different affixes of your gun to create build synergies, basically. So here, I've just completed a wave, and I can choose a passive, and this passive will stay with me for the rest of the run, and I can choose this one, which gives me a little ghost gun, which is awesome. Then I can visit this little table here, and I get to choose any parts that I want to slot onto my guns as well. So here I can view my stats, view what the parts are gonna do. I can use A and D to see which part I can equip. So this lightning receiver actually looks really good. I think I'm gonna go ahead and slap that on my left gun. Then I can give that a shot. Boom. All right, we're looking good. Is there anything else I want to equip here? Nope. All right. And then we can advance. I guess I could have used that table right there, or that encounter. So yeah, there will be random encounters. There will be a bunch of different enemy types, all kinds of passives and weapons you can build. The idea is create a synergy and try to get to the end of the game. Same formula as those games that I mentioned previously. So yeah. That is the game in a nutshell. And we have to make some more content. Hello, Pixelated. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, so what are we working on today? Well, I'm going to be doing a couple of passives here. So to start with, I have one passive. Let me see if I can bring up my software here for the project management. So what I want to do is I want to, let's see, which one? This one. So we're going to launch a shock grenade when shooting. So basically, shock is a status that you can get on your weapons that will call down lightning strikes periodically. So I thought it would be cool if you could get a weapon affix that could shoot a grenade that explodes and does some damage, but then also applies the shock status to everything that it hits. So that's what I'm gonna do first, and then we'll see how long that takes, and then we can work on some other things. All right, so let's get started then. So the first thing that I need to do to create a new affix is I need to create the affix class. So let's see if I can figure out how to do that. So we've got this affix registry, basically, that has a reference to an instance of all of the different types of affixes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to duplicate one of these things here. So if I just copy, paste, we're going to call this a shock grenade affix. Okay. Shock. Well, let's do this. And what I've added recently is I've added this feature tag system, which allows me to specify what game features basically every affix and every passive has. And so this shock grenade is going to have the feature tag of lightning. And the reason that these feature tags exist is that I use them to bias the loot tables now. I got feedback on the demo that the choices were a little bit too random, it was hard to have control over builds. So the first step to giving players more control over their builds is just to bias the randomness in their favor. So the more lightning items you have, the more lightning items you're going to get. Not just lightning items, it's anything that synergizes with lightning items will also have a higher chance of being dropped. So, so for instance, there's a passive where if you combine the oil status and the fire status, you can create a little bit of an explosion. So if you have oil, you will have a chance of getting that. And if you have fire, you will have a greater chance of getting that because it has both the feature tags. Actually, I could just show you. Oh, that's, let's see, oil. I have these implemented a little bit differently here. So here's the passive, the oil fire passive. You can see it here. I've got the oil and fire feature tags. So again, if you have oil or if you have fire or if you have both, that will increase the likelihood that you'll get this specific passive. And that's the first step to giving players a little bit more control over their build. There will be other features as well that will allow you to have more control, but that's sort of the first step, is just reducing the randomness a little bit. So how about word gun? Shoot words. I like that. And also welcome to the stream, Marcos. Okay, so we got the shock grenade affix here. So it's got the lightning. We're going to, let's see. Let's just copy this from this affix. And we're going to say 10%. Do we want to do... Let's do 15%. Chance to throw a shock grenade while shooting. Cool. And then we don't want this one. So the gun part affix essentially has a bunch of virtual methods that I can override depending on what the event is. And so in here, I could either use the player pre-fire event or the on-bullet created event. The pre-fire event is probably better. So I'm just going to override that. So public override void. Nope. Is that right? On player pre-fire. I am very suspicious why that's not giving me the autocomplete that I need, but let's see. Okay. Just didn't want to give me the autocomplete for some reason, but that's all right. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit tricky here, but let me see how I'm handling the randomness here. So the follow-up affix has a chance to shoot the other weapon while you're shooting. Percent. Okay. Okay, so it looks like I'm just using a simple randf here. So let's do that. Okay. So if handler arguments.execution count is greater than 0, we want to return. So the basic idea is that when you have affixes on a gun, they can stack. So I could have 3 of these affixes on a gun at once. The problem is that you don't want necessarily each affix to handle each event, right? So there will be some situations where when I'm shooting, I don't want all 3 instances of the affix to handle that shooting event. And so what I'm doing is I'm passing in a handler arguments from the manager that calls these events, essentially. And I have a current number of executions of this affix type. And so the way I can restrict only one instance to processing the event is I can just check, okay, if the execution count is greater than 0, meaning that it's already been handled, then I can just return out of that. So that's just a nice, easy, cheap way of controlling how many times this event is actually handled. And then what I can do is I could say my percent is equal to 0.15 times handler arguments dot affix occurrences. So that tells me how many affixes there are total on this gun. Then I can say if math_util.rng.randf is less than, let's see. Let's just do greater than %. Okay, so if the chance doesn't roll correctly, then we are going to exit that early. And now I need to figure out exactly what I want to do here. And I'm just using this other affix as sort of like a model to see how I've previously approached this. So yeah, so basically these handler arguments that also comes with a bunch of context that I can use to access the scene tree. So like it passes in a reference to the scene tree, and the reason is because these affixes are actually, they're just pure classes, so they don't exist in the tree anywhere. And so that's why I need to pass in like the tree context so I can do various things. Hello, Ludo S. What program are you using to write C# code for Godot? Right now I'm using Rider. Idea for affix can cause confusion. I believe I have something like that. Yeah, like a charm or something. Confusion would be a good one, but I think charm is one of the ones that I have. Okay. So I think what I probably want to do is probably just shoot the grenade at the mouse position. So let's see. So we'll just grab the player and we'll just do a null safety check here. Okay, and then we're gonna say var position is equal to player.getGlobal mouse position. So that's the position that we want to send the grenade in. So now what I want the grenade to be is I want to model it after this type of bullet that I have called an artillery bullet. And the artillery bullet basically follows a parabolic trajectory. So it looks like it works with gravity and whatnot. So it'll be like a throw. It'll be like an arc. So the grenade will come out and then it will arc and land where I want it to land. But now I have to relearn how this component works as well. So I think I can probably just look at the mushroom bullet for an example of how this works. Mushroom artillery bullet. So I think new inherited scene. Do I have the artillery bullet? Where is that? I don't know where this bullet is. Oh, it's under scenes component, artillery bullet component. Okay. Oh, it's right there. Okay. Let's go ahead and say grenade artillery bullet component. Where are we going to save this? Scenes, game object, bullet. That'll work. Grenade artillery bullet component. Sweet. Okay, and then it looks like we probably need a resource preloader and a sprite. Oops, don't want to edit that one. So we're going to add a sprite here. Looks like I need to draw up a grenade, so let's get that started. Let's use a 16 by 16 canvas. I'm thinking I'll probably just model it after like a flashbang or something. I actually don't know if that's going to be big enough. How big is this mushroom? 18 by 18. Oh, maybe that'll be big enough then. Maybe that will be big enough then. Are you using compatibility in instead of Vulkan? Yeah, I had to switch to compatibility renderer because a lot of people were crashing with Vulkan. So using compatibility. Hello, Cruda Gaming. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. I do have an elite enemy system that is very basic right now, but I will be building that out. Hello, Kaweo. Nice to see you again. I'm doing well. How are you? Do I often use inherited scenes? I've heard people say it can be buggy. I don't use inherited scenes that often, only in very basic cases. Like I just inherited from the artillery bullet component, which is probably, you know, not super necessary, but I try to avoid scene inheritance specifically because I just find that it's very rigid. It's really hard to work with and to modify the properties from the inherited scene, and then sometimes you want to add new features and it doesn't quite work, and it's just, yeah. It can be very difficult to work with. It can get very unmanageable very quickly, in my opinion. Also, welcome to the stream, Eraton. Super gameplay. Have you experienced any massive glitches in Godot? Mostly in Godot 4, yeah, like rendering issues, crashes, that kind of thing. Amazing art, thank you, Skull. What sprite size are you using? I'm using, I guess you could say it's like roughly a 32 by 32 grid. I think the tile set is, yeah, 32 by 32. So that's what the tile set is. And so everything is kind of based around that, I guess. Thank you, Cruda. Yeah. Yeah, Godot has a little bit of a learning curve, but it's not super difficult. You'll get the hang of it pretty quickly, I think. All right, let's do this. Grenade. So we'll just get the basic shape first. Oops. That looks pretty good to me. And then since it's a shock grenade, let's change the colors up a little bit. How do I want this to look here? Is this going to be visible enough? Nope. Maybe we'll just stick with the yellow here, and then on the edges, maybe some kind of green of some sort. Or maybe not. I should probably be using the symmetry here. So yeah, we'll just play around with the colors a little bit and see what can be done here. Oops. Is my centering off? Oh, it is. Oh, I guess maybe I can't center it. Oh. Interesting. I don't know if that, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I like that green in there. Something is very off with this symmetry. I'm going to turn that off. You were considering switching to Godot, but wasn't sure. I mean, you could try it. It's free. It's free. Renaming crashes Godot every once in a while. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that if you're going to use Godot, you definitely need to use version control and commit often, because sometimes your scenes will get corrupted in a sense. They'll still be openable in like a text editor, so not like corrupted to where you can't read them, but they will contain like invalid configurations that break your scenes. And sometimes you have to go in and manually fix them or just revert the change. So yeah, I would just make a habit of ritualistically committing. How long have you been doing coding devlog or deving for? For game development specifically, I guess, I don't know. Over 10 years. I don't know how to answer that question, because it's like, do you count when I was 14 years old and I was just, you know, goofing off making little stupid games? In terms of like making serious efforts to make like full complete games, it's probably been like 4 or 5 years. Thank you, Forte. Yeah, I'm glad you like the Survivor course. Yeah, if anyone wants to learn how to play, yeah, you want to learn how to play Godot. If you want to learn how to make a game in the Godot engine, I do have a Udemy course. The link for that is in the description below. So if you like what you see and you want to learn yourself, then I teach a lot of the things that I use when making this game in that course. So definitely check that out. Top 3 games I love to play. I don't know. I don't really have like a go-to game at the moment. I've been playing, played a little bit of Vampire Survivors, played some Elden Ring recently. Yeah, that's about it. The right side is wider. Oh, you're right. Thank you. Ah, yes. That's why it wasn't working correctly. Thank you, Black Cat. Appreciate it. Yeah, right. Install the Steam version. Yeah, understandable, Cruda. Yeah, you got to learn first before you can really dedicate yourself to making something full. Thank you, Zephyrian. Would you recommend using C# over GDScript? No, I wouldn't tell you or make a recommendation one way or another. It's just a matter of what do you personally like to use. I like GDScript. I use GDScript all the time for like game jams and whatnot. Particularly when I'm working with another person and we don't want to set up like the C# development environment on their machine. GDScript is nice because it just works, right? You just pull the code and then run the game, right? But, you know, a lot of people, you know, prefer the ease of development with GDScript and how quick it is. I personally prefer the, you know, software design patterns that you can employ with C#, you know, like interfaces and abstract classes and that sort of thing. So it all depends on what you want to use. I'm not drawing every frame of animations. I'm animating them with the animation player in Godot, just using squash and stretch. So I will make several different parts and I will cut up, like I will take the head as one part and the feet as one part and the, you know, make like a little cutout animation and then animate it in the editor. So that saves time because I don't have to draw a bunch of frames. And also, I'm not particularly good at frame-based animation anyway. So it's quicker, easier, and actually produces a better result. Yeah, C# is supposed to be faster, yeah. What are the main design problems you're trying to solve at the moment? So One of the things that I'm trying to solve is players need to have more control over their builds, over their build path. So I got some feedback that it was a little bit too random, the weapons that you would get. So trying to think about how I can give players more control over their builds, which I've already mentioned. I've done kind of like one phase of that so far. The other problem is just trying to introduce more like random events during the wave to keep the wave a little bit more fresh and interesting. Also, I haven't really been liking how... I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. I haven't been liking how easy it is for the player to take damage. Sometimes it's really hard to see where the damage source is coming from. And so I'm trying to think about ways to resolve that as well. But then there are some other like bigger changes that I'm thinking about doing too, like radical changes to the enemies. But these are all things that I have to just kind of like think about more. But player progression, build path are the big ones. Wonder if I can just do like a little... I really don't even know like what I should be doing here for this grenade. I guess it doesn't need to be super fancy because it's going to be like very quick. I feel like it just needs something in the middle here. I guess that kind of works. I mean, I guess that almost looks like... That almost looks like fire, though. That kind of looks like poison. I need, like, something more lightning-y. I don't... my limited palette here. I don't really have... very good lightning colors here. You know what? I guess I'll just leave it like that. We'll see how that works. Should be fine. All right, I'll just keep it like that. That's fine. Okay, assets. Oh, where am I even putting this? Oh, interesting. Effect. No, I don't want to put it in there. Where do I want to put this? Ugh. Yeah, I don't want to put it in there. Environment. Nope, I don't want to put it in there either. I guess I'll just create a new folder. Call it like affix or something, I don't know. Shockgrenade.png. Cool. All right. Let's see. Yeah, exactly, Owen, yeah. Just having all that extra stuff is nice. Can you explain how you connect signals where it listens for enemies die through the manager? So I think what you're trying to get at is like, how can you listen for enemies dying globally, right? So I think one thing that I do is I have a game events auto load here, and the game events auto load, it basically contains a bunch of events that are good for everyone to know about, right? So, for instance, bullets hitting enemies, player shooting bullets, entities dying. So this is kind of related to your question. So I have sort of this signal that is in an auto load that indicates when an entity has died. And because it's in an auto load, that can be connected to from any node in the scene tree. So it's very nice because what I can do is I have these static methods in here. It will differ how you implement it in GDScript, but I have these static methods where I can say emit entity died. And so I can just emit that from anywhere. And I also pass in an event object. And you can see that if I look at it, the entity died event object has a reference to the entity that is dying. And so the benefit of this is that I can just listen to this entity died from wherever I want and respond to it however I want. You can do it without an auto load. It's kind of the same deal. You would have a manager in your scene tree with an entity died signal or something like that. And with every enemy you spawn, you'd have to make sure to notify that manager when the entity is dying, right? So that's kind of the approach that I would take. Yeah, that's a good point too. Oh, and yeah, renaming is easier. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, I'm doing all the artwork on my own except for like the Steam art. Hello, Domter. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. I'm glad you got a lot of value out of that course. Really appreciate that. All right. So now that we've got the shock grenade, let's go ahead and slap it in there. Boom. All right. So we've got our shock grenade here. And so now, oh, that's interesting. So now we need to figure out, okay, so we got the shock grenade, the grenade artillery bullet component. Well, you know what? Okay, I might need to rename this here. Hello, rename. Shock grenade artillery bullet component. Cool. Let's rename this here. Very long name, but also very important. All right, so we've got that. Now the question is, how am I actually going to do this in here? So it looks like what I do for the mushrooms is I instance them. Do I need that health dependency? No. Instance the artillery bullet and then just basically set the start parameters. Okay. So the only problem is I don't have a way of like preloading that resource. So maybe I'll just ignore that for now, but one of the things I need to do is I need to convert all these affixes to like custom resources, I think. Maybe, maybe not. Problem with custom resources is that it would be very difficult. I'd still have to create a separate class for each custom resource to handle the specific handlers. So maybe keeping them as classes is good. The problem though is that, well, I guess I could private, static, packed scene, bullet, or let's do grenade scene. The reason this is kind of bad though is because now I have to hard code this path. Because this is not something I can edit through the inspector. But that's fine. So I think that'll just load it up as soon as this is instantiated, or I guess it'll load it up as soon as the game runs. Don't really know. But anyway, now we've got that loaded, so now I can do this. Var grenade is equal to grenade scene dot instantiate shock grenade affix, or shock. Oh, I need to create a custom script for that too, I think. Let's see. Artillery bullet component. What do we got in here? Let's see. Maybe I don't need to do that. Why did I create a custom class for the mushroom artillery bullet? I guess so I could reference the resource preloader. That's probably a good idea. Is it a good idea? Ideally, what I would want is that the artillery bullet component just sends out a bunch of signals depending on what's happening with it, and then I can handle what should happen based on those signals. The problem is that I don't know if I will really want to be managing the state of the grenade from the affix class itself. I think ideally the affix, the shock grenade affix, would simply spawn the grenade, send it on its way, and then be done, right? So I think for that reason, I think I will create a script for this. So let's just create a new script. Create. This extends artillery bullet component. Okay, and then we'll just copy that, copy and paste that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say public override void . Yeah, I think I'm just going to copy this basically. Now, wait a minute here. Now, wait a second. Oh, this resource preloader doesn't even need to be here. Ah, interesting. So I can actually just delete this from here. Cool. All right, simplified that. Cool. All right, so yeah. So this is the shock grenade artillery bullet component. Let's import the circle explosion. And then what do we want to do here? So yeah, so there's a couple of things that needs to happen. So when the shock grenade impacts on the ground, it needs to damage enemies in a radius. So I need to somehow pass the damage that I want it to do into here. But I also need to apply the shock status to every enemy that it hits. So there's a lot going on here, and I need to be very careful to make sure that I'm passing the right information to it, because the damage has to be influenced by the damage of your current gun, right? So let's do this. Let's just instantiate it first. Let's say grenade dot start new artillery creation args. Let's just get it going first. Okay. And what are the args I need to put in? Origin, destination, time, and travel speed. Okay. Origin equals player dot center position, I suppose. Target. Do I not have a destination is equal to, let's change this to target. Okay. And then what else do we need to do? We can set an amount of time or a travel speed. Let's just set a travel speed. You're gonna have to forgive my use of magic numbers here. Travel speed and gun stats. So for the gun stats, I can say handler arguments. I believe I should have the gun stats object, which I'm just going to duplicate so that I don't have, so I'm not passing the same reference around everywhere. Player pre-fire event. Okay. So I've got everything coming in from these handler arguments, and I can use that to start the artillery component. And then in here, we're going to set the radius to maybe 32 or something. This is going to have to change for sure, because I need to get all the damage and whatnot into this circle explosion class. But I suppose now we can like plug it in and see. We can plug it in and see if it works. So let's go to the affix registry. New shock grenade affix. And then we can go to the affix loot table here. And in here, add adjusted item, tag count, affix registry, get affix by type of shock grenade affix. And let's give it a weight of 5. So this is what I was talking about earlier. This is the biased loot table implementation. And so basically what happens is it counts up all of the feature tags that you have associated with your character. And then it will, when it adds the item to the table, it will just adjust the weight higher for any item that has more than one tag. So it starts with a base weight, which is what I'm passing in here, which is 5. But then it multiplies that base weight by the number of tag occurrences. So yeah, that's how it works. Let's see. Do you use version control, GitHub or something? Yeah, I use GitHub, yeah. Git plus GitHub. Hey, Burlo. Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, I appreciate all the feedback. Absolutely. So no need to worry about it at all. Yeah. It's good feedback. I mean, all the feedback in the thread on Steam gave me a lot to chew on, a lot to think about, but that's good because I have some direction now, even if I don't know exactly how I'm going to solve all the problems. But How are you defining base class apart from Godot classes? Inherit from ref counted or something other? Yeah, so you need to inherit from ref counted if you're going to pass around the object through like the Godot layer. So you'll notice that my affixes are actually not, I don't believe they're, oh, they are ref counted. Okay, never mind. I was gonna lie to you. Ref counted is necessary if you're gonna like send the object or the class, well, yeah, the instance of the class, aka the object, through like signals and whatnot. Ref counted allows Godot to marshal and unmarshal it under the hood, but you don't need everything to be a ref counted. If it's just a pure C# class, then yeah, you don't need it to inherit from any Godot objects. But yeah, if you're just gonna write a C# class that you also want to be able to pass through signals and stuff, you need to use ref counted. Yeah, C# is not, it's not the smoothest experience. There are some issues, but I think the benefits, at least in my case, outweigh the issues. So we've added the shock grenade affix to our loot table, which is not exactly what needs to happen here. I can actually just go ahead and add it to one of my starting weapons as an affix. So the way that I can do that is I can go to the MOS receiver, for instance, open that up. This is the resource that represents the MOS receiver. And I can go into the guaranteed affixes in here. I can say shock grenade. Just type that name in, and that will give me the shock grenade passive, I hope. And then we can see if this is actually working. And then we'll focus on how we're gonna get the damage to work and all that good stuff. So yeah, so here we go. 15% chance to throw a shock grenade while shooting. And it doesn't seem to be working. If I had to guess, because I'm not adding it to the scene tree, right? Yeah, so I need to add it to the scene tree first because apparently I'm not that great at Godot and I keep forgetting to add my things to the scene tree. Artillery, mushroom artillery bullet, where is that? How am I doing this in here? I just got to figure out what layer to add it to. Get main bullets. Oh, I'm adding it to the bullets layer. Well, would you look at that? So player.getMain.get bullets, add child grenade. And when I call start, yeah, okay. All right, now let's give it a shot. Don't forget to add your notes to the scene tree, everyone. A little bit too early on there, Audrey Tech. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so I don't know if you guys could see that, but let's see. Well, maybe I'll just get through this wave. There we go. So you can see how the grenade is. There it is. So I don't, you can't really see it that well. Sometimes it doesn't shoot either. There we go. So yeah, there it goes. The red circles that are appearing are the grenade exploding. So I wonder what happens if I make the travel speed higher. I can't remember if that's going to increase the arc or decrease the arc. I think it probably decreases the arc, right? Hey, Heyro. You've been a huge inspiration to me. Really enjoying seeing your organization's structure. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, thank you. Is it worth using a resource file to define weapon attributes per level versus just defining a table in JSON? So in my experience, resource files are really bad for any kind of scaling or conditional like stats. What I usually use resource files for is like the base configuration, like the stuff that's not going to change. So like, here's the base fire rate, here's the base speed, here's the name of the thing, here's the description of the thing, that kind of thing. But if you want to apply like scaling or some kind of stat growth, the problem with putting that into a resource file is that it becomes very rigid, right? Let's say that you defined how much your fire rate goes up every level inside of your resource file, right? Well, now all of a sudden, what happens if you want to have a game mode or you want to have another upgrade that the player can get that increases that by 2 times, right? It's doable, of course, but to me, it makes more sense that the resource would define the base stats that are unchanging for the most part, right? And then you have another manager or node or class that can handle taking the base stats from the resource and combining it with the context of the game to calculate the ultimate final values, right? And so that's kind of what I'm doing with this gun stats class. So this is a C# class that contains all of the sort of finalized stats related to a gun. And this is calculated all the time. These objects are created and destroyed all the time, but you can see that I can instantiate a gun stats instance from my list of custom resources. So it takes in all those resources, depending on what type of resource it is, it assigns all the stats. But then I have this object against which I can do a bunch of additional math. So I can say, all right, I want to multiply the damage by 2 or whatever. And you can kind of see some of that in here as well. So yeah, typically the resources are just like, I just use them for like base definitions. And then any transformations I need to do to them happen in a different area of the code, if that makes sense. But in terms of JSON, like, yeah, you could do the same thing in JSON, right? You could define everything in your game using JSON and just load up that big file. I don't know when you would choose resources over JSON. I haven't really found a reason to use JSON for configuration in Godot. I do use it for like save files, but for like data configuration, usually I use just resources. Thank you, Drufus. All right. So what was I doing? I don't remember. Oh yeah, I was going to test the travel speed here. Okay, yeah, so higher travel speed. So this is why my artillery, so the way that parabolic trajectories work is you can either set the time that the object should be in the air, so following its parabolic trajectory. And so you can set the time ahead of time and say, I want it to spend 3 seconds in the air. And then depending on the speed of the object, that's, depending on the distance between your origin and your destination point, it will calculate how fast the object needs to move in order to match the 3-second value. So I support that case, but I also support supplying a speed instead, which will do the opposite. It will keep the speed at 500 and then calculate how long it needs to stay in the air for. So that gives me nice control. So for instance, I could say instead of travel speed, I can say just keep it in the air for 1 second. And that means that the calculation will adjust the speed of the object to make it stay in the air for 1 second. So the problem with that is that you get really ridiculous results. So like if I shoot like right on top of me, let's see. Yeah, it'll just like launch straight up and come right down. But I think that generally creates a better trajectory because it's a little bit more arced. I might bump down that time a little bit, but the other benefit is that it makes it predictable, right? So it's always going to be in the same. I guess that you could say the same about the speed too. Maybe I will actually, hold on. Travel speed 200. I had 300 before. Let's try that. Maybe online games are something to download values that change over time rather than new builds. Yeah, so what you're kind of getting at is like a like a JSON database, right? All right, let's see. What am I doing? So yeah, let's see if that 200 speed, I think that 200 speed actually works pretty good. Yeah, because when you're shooting far away, it gets a nice arc, but then when you're shooting close up, it just kind of slams down. Yeah, that works. Okay, we'll keep the speed at 200 then. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out, how to make the damage actually work. So I can store a reference to the gun stats in the creation arguments here. Okay. And I believe, oh, this is not protected, or this, yeah. So I think what I need to do is I probably need to make this a protected member so I can access it from inherited classes. And that means that I can go to the shock grenade affix here, or sorry, the shock grenade bullet component. What I can do is I can say, okay, set now. Oh, the joys of relearning all the code that I wrote. Let's discover this together. So how do I actually change the damage of a circle explosion? So let's look at the zap actually, because the zap creates a circle explosion. Configure collision area. Where am I actually setting the damage? Huh, this is baffling. Do I not have damage set here? That doesn't make any sense. The zaps very obviously do damage. I must be missing something. Let's just go straight to the circle explosion. So we've got start, set thickness, set damage, right? So that makes sense. Add status to apply, status scene path. Why are these paths? Why is this a string? Get statuses to apply. Let's find out where this is used. Oh boy, transfer statuses from hitbox. This is this smells like a little bit of that. Smells like a little bit of spaghetti. Someone's cooking up a spaghetti dinner in this code. All right, transfer statuses from hitbox. So what this is doing is this is going to grab the statuses that I've registered in a hitbox and apply that to the status receiver. Hitbox component gun stats to transfer. Oh, goodness. Is there even a gun stats reference in here? Why do I need the gun stats to transfer? This is definitely one of the most complex areas of the code here. Wait, is this gun stats to transfer not even used anywhere? args, create circle explosion. Oh, I can give it gun stats, but the problem is that that doesn't appear to be used anywhere. Gun stats to transfer. Apply status. Oh, it's used here. Okay, yeah. Of course, yeah. Okay, so it looks like I can accomplish everything that I need to accomplish. So that's good. So what I can do here then is I can, in the shock grenade artillery bullet component, I can say circle explosion builder. I see. Create circle explosion. What am I doing? So I have a circle explosion builder, but I also have a circle explosion manager. Why? I don't know what's going on. Oh no, there's something very wrong going on here. Okay, well, I have a circle explosion builder and a circle explosion manager. This is madness. All right, circle explosion manager, create circle explosion. We're just gonna do this. New circle explosion args. I have no clue why there's two seemingly redundant things happening here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Oh. Oh, nice, Drufus. Yeah, that's cool. Sharing your work with the community is awesome. Yes, Ali. C# content. Yeah, 4.2 looks like it's going to be great. It's got a bunch of C# fixes too. Godot Taku? Yeah, I should make more tutorial videos. I just, yeah, time is, I gotta choose between working on this and making devlogs and making tutorial videos. So it's a lot, but I guess I just gotta figure out how to manage my time better. There are a bunch of videos that I want to make that I just haven't gotten around to. I guess maybe I should just keep going with the builder pattern. This seems to be a little bit nicer. Seems to me. Although this returns a circle explosion, right? Maybe we'll extend this. So what do I need to give it? I need to give it gun stats. Wow. I am good and lost here. Let's see. Oh, I see. Oh, I see what the problem is. I can't actually give it the gun stats until the hitbox component has been instantiated. So that's the problem with the builder, is that this is just collecting a bunch of stats. Although I guess I don't really... There's no reason why... Yeah, there's no reason why I can't do this. So let's see. Private gun stats. Gun stats. So we'll just extend this pattern here. And then when we build it, what we'll do is we'll say instance.hitboxComponent.set gun stats to transfer to gun stats, but only if gun stats is not equal to null. Okay. So that's part number one. We also need the status effects, right? So private list scene path. Oh, why am I doing that? String status paths to apply. Instance dot set or dot hitbox component dot add status to apply. Right, so for each, well, I guess we'll just add another method. Add statuses to apply, enumerable string. Statuses to apply dot add range. Status paths. So then in here, what I can do is I can say instance.hitbox component add statuses to apply. Status paths to apply right there. So we can get all the configuration done there, and then here, public circle explosion builder, add status to apply, string status path, statuses to apply dot add, status path, and then return this. So now I should be able to accomplish everything that I want to accomplish here. So I can say add status to apply, shock status dot scene path. Okay, and then dot add set gun stats, and that's going to be my artillery creation args dot gun stats. I think that will do it. Okay, and then we need a different color here. Okay, that should do it. And then we need a different color. Let's just go ahead and open up the color picker. I should make an add-on that makes a color picker like visible on screen all the time. That would be cool. All right. I want to use, which one? This one. All right, so we'll paste that in there. Do I not have a way to set the damage here? Set damage. Wants me to do read only right there. Private float damage. Okay. I hope this doesn't break anything. I don't think it should. All right, so the point So the thing now is I need to actually calculate what the proper damage is for this grenade. What is the best way to learn C# programming in general? That is a good question. What is the best way? I don't know. I picked up C# after I already had experience programming. The only like big things with C# is like you just have to learn, if you're not familiar with like traditional object-oriented languages, you know, inheritance and abstract classes, interfaces, all that kind of thing. But how would you learn it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what the most optimal way to go about it is. I would say, yeah, probably just look up a YouTube video that has an interesting tutorial and follow that. Try to make your own app with C#, something like that. Are you releasing any courses on Godot for C#? Yes, I do want to do that, but like I said, I need to have time to do it, so someday it will happen, but not yet. So what I want to do, well, I guess I don't really want to do that. Var damage is equal to handler arguments dot event dot gun stats dot. When am I using calculated damage? Okay, so calculated damage is the one I should be using. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at this calculated damage here, just making sure that this is working as I expect it to. I have no clue what this is here. Okay, well, no need to worry about that just now. So I need some way of telling this shock grenade artillery bullet component what damage to use. So I think what I'll do is I'll just create public void set damage, float damage. This set damage equals damage, and then we can just pass in damage here. Cool. And then in here, we're just going to say grenade set damage, and we're going to do, let's just do like 50% maybe damage, or 25% or something. So let's do, let's grab a reference to this gun stats here. Gun stats dot calculated damage times 0.25. We'll put gun stats right there. Okay, and let's add this to the description. Deals 25% damage. Cool. So let's see, did I actually do everything correctly here? So it's going to apply the shock status. It's going to apply the color, the radius. All right, well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that you need an instance. Yep. I know exactly what you mean. Oh, there's a lot of errors going on. Why are there errors? Timer was not added to the scene tree. What? Why did it break all of a sudden? Oh, did I accidentally remove the, did I remove the line where I was adding it to the scene tree? Are you serious? Player.getMain.bullets.addChild grenade. I must have accidentally deleted that line. Okay, let's try again. So now, so the weapon, so it should do 25% of the weapon's DPS. Actually, is that how it works? Damage per second. Oh, maybe I should be using the damage per second. Right, okay. I think that's what I need to do. So this needs to be damage per second. Let's see. Weakest gun. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what number should I actually be using for this damage calculation. Let's take a look at the oil fire passive. Right, so in here, %25 DPS of your weakest gun. Okay, yeah. So it's the DPS number is what I'm using for the calculations here. So let's do that. Let's just make sure I've got this set correctly. Damage per second times 25, or 0.25, yep, okay. All right, let's see. A lot of effort to get this one little thing set up, but it's worth it. So now the challenge is, can I actually... Probably need to make the, make it bigger. I can test on the training dummy, though. There we go. I'm trying to just hit it with the with the shock status so I can see how much damage it does. Let's see. It should do about 5 damage when I hit. Okay, I guess I'll just do this. I have no clue how to make sense of these numbers, actually. So I'm going to just do something really quick. I'll have to investigate how the zap is applying damage, but for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my shock grenade artillery component, and I'm going to remove the shock status from it just to see if it's doing just the base damage calculation properly. And I can probably do this as well. Let's see, dungeon. I'm going to turn on debug mode here. Okay. Six damage. Oh, I suppose that's right. Yeah, 24 DPS, 25%. Yep, that's right. Okay. So it did 6 damage. That's good. So now let's look at the zap. Let's look at the shock status. Shock affix. Shock status. I believe this is getting a gun stat applied to it, right? Gun stats damage per second. Yeah, 5%. Cool. All right. I think everything's good. I just needed to sanity check that. So I think all the damage calculations are good. There is one thing. This explosion on magazine empty passive has some weird damage calculation going on in here. Create an explosion when the magazine becomes empty. This seems to be multiplying the damage by the ammo multiplier. I don't understand that. I really don't get that. I'm going to fix that, but first I'm going to commit what I have after I make sure that it can appear on weapons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that moss receiver, remove that shock grenade from that because I don't want that. I'm also going to turn down the chance that this is going to happen. So turn it down to 5%. Cool. I'm also going to up the radius to 48. And then, what else am I going to do? Right, the affix loot table manager. I'm just going to bump this up to like 1,000 so it's a guaranteed loot here. Sweet. So kill one enemy, and then let's go ahead and see. 5% chance to throw a shock grenade while shooting deals 25% DPS. Cool. I have to figure out how to simplify all of these things too. Oh, interesting. None of the other parts got that status. That seems wrong to me. It seems like all of the parts should have that status. I did change... Oh, wait, you know what? Actually, never mind. Yeah, I don't actually know why that... why did that happen? All of them should have the shock status. Did I just get unlucky and like... Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. I think it's probably fine. Or there's something very wrong happening here. Let's bump it up to 10,000. I feel like that's very wrong. Something's wrong. Basically, all the parts should have the shock grenade status when I loot them. Might be another issue to fix. Remember to drink water, yes. Thank you. Good reminder for everyone. Wow, there's something very broken happening. That is not good. That is not good. That is not good. That is not good. Well, I guess we have another thing to look into, which is why... Well, I have a log here. Let's see. Affix loot table. Yeah, it says the shock grenade affix has a weight of 10,000. Why is that not being chosen? Very concerning, very concerning. Oh, we'll look into that. Let's just see if the other changes I made make sense. Put the shock grenade on there. Yeah, seems to be good. Cool. Let's see if I can actually get it to explode on the... There we go. Sweet. Okay, so that seems to be good. Now we got to figure out why the loot table is not working. Well, first I want to change the explosion affix. Okay, one thing at a time here. Let's just take a quick peek through all these things. Make sure I didn't do anything too stupid. I'm going to revert that. Cool. All right, so let's commit all those. So add shock grenade affix. Okay, let's go to the explosion. Explosion on magazine empty passive. I want to take probably just the gun stats dot damage per second times 0.5. And then I'm going to go to my player, and I'm going to add that and just make sure that this still makes sense. Your code looks so organized and really interesting. Thank you. I try to stay organized for the reason of I just will not know what's going on if I don't keep it organized. But still, as you can see on the stream, I still need to go back through and read the code and understand what's happening. But yeah, mostly just do that for my sake, so that I can actually remember what's going on. Okay, so I think that's fixed. So let's just... Yeah, the issue basically was that I was using some weird calculation for that specific passive. So just change that to be consistent with everything else instead of just doing this weird ammo multiplier thing. Maybe at one point I wanted to make it deal damage based on how much ammo you used or something, or how much ammo you had. But I don't think that's necessary. So we're going to fix explosion. All right, now let's take an investigative look at why having a weight of 10,000 on one of the passives, the shock grenade. Let's figure out why that's not working. Let's figure out why that's not working. So, affix loot table. So this is where it's picking the affixes in this gun part randomizer. And it's calling pick item from here, which is calling pick item from the loot table. Yeah, I don't really understand what's going on here. Add adjusted item, base weight. Add item weight, yeah. I've got it in my affix registry here, so that's good. Yeah, I don't know why that's not working. I don't even really necessarily know how to debug it either. I guess what I could do is I could... Here's what I'll do. I'm just gonna run... Yeah, firstly, on ready, just in this connect player, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say for each, or for int I equals 0, I is less than, let's just do 25, I plus plus. We're going to say var item equals pick item, and we're going to gd.print item dot get type dot name, and this will tell us what is the affix that we pick 25 times in a row? Or we're going to pick something from the loot table 25 times and see what the result is. It should basically all be the shock grenade affix. And if that's the case, then I know that the problem is not with the loot table. Yeah, so there we go. So there's the shock grenade affix picked 25 times in a row, as you would expect from having a weight that's that high. And so the next thing is now we have to investigate, okay, is there actually something going on with the system that actually randomizes the gun parts that is preventing that affix from being seen on those items. Really interested by that gun component system. Been thinking about making something similar because I love roguelites where you get a lot of items that change your gameplay. Yeah. One of the inspirations for this system was Noita and the wand crafting system you can do in that game. I thought that was super cool how you could basically just like chain together whatever you want. And so I kind of just borrowed that. This is so weird. This is so weird. Okay. So it must be a problem in the gun part randomizer. There's something in here that is preventing that affix from being chosen. This is probably going to be easier if I go to my test gun generation scene in here. Do tier simulation. Wait, where is the... Let's see. Calculate magazine capacity distribution. Calculate affix distribution. Var affix name dict equals new Godot dot collections dot dictionary string int. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for each var affix in affixes, we're going to say if not affix name dictionary contains key affix.getType.name. Then we're going to say grab the name there. Name affix name dict name equals 0. So this is just a little test method that I've written. Affix name dict name plus plus. Okay. And then I can do this. I can do gd print affix name dict. Okay. So now I'm going to be printing that. So calculate affix distribution. What do I even call this? I'll probably just call it in here again. Gun part randomizer dot calculate affix distribution. And that calculate affix distribution is using the same it's using the same code as what the game will use. So object reference not set to an instance of an object. Did I not initialize the dictionary? Oh. No, I did. Where is this? Oh my goodness. This is going to be one of those... Oh, right. Yeah, the problem, it doesn't have a reference to the scene tree. So the way to fix that is just to pass in the parameters here. So new scene tree equals get tree. Okay, that ought to do it. So let's see if that works. Nope. Okay. I'll just comment that. Oh boy, this is gonna be a tricky one to hunt down, I think. Oh no, okay. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this that well, but what we've got here is we've got the shock grenade affix was picked 5,901 times, and the rest of them were picked under 10 times. The second highest one is 8. So we have an overwhelming majority of affixes that are picked are the shock grenade affix. And yet, when I actually play it in the game, the parts don't have that affix. That is just the darndest thing. Awesome. Bazon Wizard. Thank you. Whenever any gun part changes, you are creating a new instance in the runtime or editing the scenes as part of the upgrades. So each gun part is its own scene. And so I'm freeing the old scene of the old part and putting in the new scene. And that has to trigger cascading updates throughout the game too. Like it has to update the stats that the player currently has. It has to notify a bunch of things. But really the only scene that gets freed when you add a gun part is the existing gun part so that it can be replaced by the new one. I hope that answers your question. How should I save a dictionary of vector 2s in Godot to disk since resources don't work? You might have to break down the dictionary into its more primitive components. So you've got your dictionary of vector 2s, but instead of trying to store a vector 2 object, you should just store the X and Y component of the vector and then recreate the vectors when you load it. So you would have like your dictionary key, and then underneath that you would have the sub keys X and Y, which would be float values. And then when you read that dictionary back, you'd have to iterate over all the keys, take the X and Y values, and construct new vectors out of that. That's probably how I would do it. Are all gun parts allowed to have the shock grenade affix? Yes. Yep. There are gun parts that have guaranteed affixes. So like I believe the Moss magazine always has the poison affix, but it can also have additional affixes on top of that. And the affixes are not restricted to the type of part. So that is something that may change though, depending on how interesting or how necessary it is to like put more restrictions on the affixes. But right now that's how it works. Thank you, Mateo. I appreciate that. Yeah, all of the live streams I do are available as VODs after the stream is over, so. What about adding minions or pets in game? Yes, I already have some of that going on, but there's gonna be more. So definitely on my radar to do that. I'm very concerned about this randomization here. Doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem like it's working right. Okay, so that one got 2 of them. That's good. 10% chance to throw a shock grenade while shooting. I would like to see an example where all of the parts... It's normal that some of the weapon parts don't have affixes because it checks first, okay, should I generate affixes? And then when it decides yes, then that's when it picks them from the table. But it has to say, yes, I want some affixes. Which I can probably just modify that to make this testing process a little bit less annoying. Number to pick. Let's just reassign number to pick to 3. That'll give us a nice... That will guaranteed pick 3 affixes for every gun part that's given to you, and if the statistics are right, basically every gun part should have 3 stacks of that shock grenade affix. So let's see what happens. 15% chance, 15% chance, 15% chance. Oh. Wait a minute. Okay. Yep. I think all the math is correct. I think I just went down a giant rabbit hole. So the reason I was getting confused is the guaranteed affixes that I mentioned earlier. Just because a guaranteed affix exists on a part does not mean that it's also going to generate more affixes, right? So that decision process of should I generate affixes still happens independent of whether it already has a guaranteed affix. So I think what I was getting confused by is I was seeing parts that had guaranteed affixes but had not chosen to generate more. And that's why I was like, wait a minute, why is it picking poison and shock? But this one, this lightning receiver right here, has a guaranteed affix of shock. So it adds that. But then since I forced it to pick more affixes, it chose the 3 shock grenade affixes. So I think everything is okay. I think I was just getting confused by how that logic works. But it was nice to get to the bottom of that and make sure that my affix selection code was not broken beyond belief. Okay. So that basically means that there's not really any changes that need to happen here. So I can roll back that. Let's roll this back as well. I will keep some of these changes though. Like this method. Definitely keep those changes there because that's necessary for future testing. And we'll also, yeah, keep that one, okay. Excalibur gun which shoots swords, yeah, that'd be dope. We're able to figure out what's causing stutters. I'm pretty sure it's like shader compilation, but the strategies that I've used to alleviate that issue have not worked. So that's the problem. But yeah, I appreciate the ideas. Yeah, keep them going. Excalibur sword would be awesome. Cool. All right, well, that's it. That's about 2-hour stream. So nice, good chunk of work. Got 1 affix done. I was hoping to get more done, but yeah, it took a lot longer than I thought it would. But that's it for this stream. Again, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Keep your feedback coming. You could play the demo for Gunforged by visiting the Steam link in the description below. And also, if you want to learn how to make a game in Godot 4, I have a Udemy course, which you can also check out by visiting the links in the description. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. My game is relevant to Path of Exile. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, a little bit. I see that. I played a lot of Path of Exile. So, probably some influence leaking in there. All right, thanks again, everyone, and I will see you on the next stream. I'm going to be doing more streams more often, so just hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live. All right, have a good evening or day or morning, everyone, and see you in the next one.